Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're taking a profound journey into some of the darkest, honestly most exhausting parts of human desire. If you've ever found yourself wide awake in the dead of night, feeling this burning emptiness or a deep, almost inexplicable loneliness pulling you towards someone else, well, I want to validate those feelings for you right now. They are incredibly real and they are powerful. But what if the very thing you've been chasing to cure that loneliness is actually the thing causing it? Let's dive into this.
So, is what you call love actually just a chain? I know, it's a pretty jarring question, right? We often feel this visceral, intense pull toward another person. You know the feeling, that intense lust, that desperate need to possess them, to just hold on to them as tightly as possible. We call it love. We write songs about it, we romanticize it. But the sources we're exploring today argue that this feeling is actually a profound illusion. It's an illusion that literally burns you up from the inside out, completely exhausting your spirit while keeping you perpetually dissatisfied. It's not a comforting embrace at all, it's a heavy, heavy chain. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how perfectly this quote captures the absolute essence of what we usually mistake for love. It is a fire that burns but never gives light. This consuming, desperate fire, that is actually attachment. It's a force that completely drains your energy and brings so much suffering, but it offers absolutely zero illumination or true warmth. This attachment is the very chain that is actively keeping you from experiencing true freedom and authentic connection.
Section 1. Where are the roots, the origins of attachment?
So where does this trap even come from? It's not like we just suddenly wake up as adults completely tangled in all these dependencies, right? It builds over a timeline. It actually starts in infancy. A mother holds her child and says, "You are mine," and boom, that creates the first bond of dependency. Then in childhood, a father provides for us, and we learn to rely entirely on someone else for our security. By the time we hit our youth, we project this onto our school friends and our first loves, desperately clinging to them. And finally, in adulthood, society really solidifies the whole thing through marriage and children. Every single step on this timeline is just a new link in a very long, very heavy chain that conditions us to constantly look outside of ourselves to feel complete.
Let me share a really powerful anecdote from our source material to make this a bit more concrete. There was this young man who was so completely infatuated with his lover that he literally couldn't imagine life without her. So when she eventually fell in love with someone else, he was completely shattered. He actually wanted to end his own life over it. But here's the crucial realization. If he truly loved her, he would have rejoiced in her happiness, even if it wasn't with him. Instead, his reaction proved that it was just attachment. Because attachment is blind, it's deeply selfish, and it inevitably leads to immense suffering because at its core, it treats a human being as a possession.
Section 2. Love versus attachment, the core conflict.
This brings us to the absolute heart of this explainer. We really have to draw a stark, undeniable line between toxic attachment and genuine love, because they are not the same thing. In fact, they are total opposites. Attachment demands control. It basically says, "You are mine, you have to live according to my rules, and my happiness entirely depends on you." It takes, it binds, and it is absolutely loaded with conditions. But genuine love? Love simply says, "Live as you please." It's characterized by absolute freedom, unconditional support, and the desire to just give without demanding a single thing in return.
The really crucial point here is understanding how these two different states actually make you feel on the inside. Attachment operates from a place of deficit. It tricks you into believing that someone else is going to complete you, which, paradoxically, leaves you feeling perpetually empty, dependent, and incredibly sorrowful when they inevitably can't fill that void for you. True love, on the other hand, stems from inner completeness. You are independent. Your joy comes from within, which means you are completely happy and whole whether you're alone or sharing your life with someone else.
Consider this parable of the king from our sources. Here was a man who literally had it all, a massive kingdom, a queen, infinite wealth, the whole shebang. Yet he became so intensely attached to a passing dancer that he threw it all away. He abandoned everything. And when the dancer eventually left him, the king went completely mad. He literally lost his mind over an illusion. It was only later on, when he was finally guided toward meditation and actually woke up from this blinding attachment, that he found his sanity and true peace again.
Section 3. Intimacy and illusion. The misunderstood connection. Okay, let's transition into what is probably the most misunderstood aspect of human relationships, physical intimacy. This is where the illusion of attachment does some of its absolute most disastrous work, masquerading brilliantly as love.
Naturally, sex and intimacy are just a beautiful flow of energy and creativity. But when we drag attachment into the mix, when we reduce it to merely taking, consuming, and basically using another person's body to try and fill our own inner void, it just becomes a momentary exchange that inevitably ends in this lingering, heavy emptiness. You haven't actually gained anything. You've just exhausted your own energy trying to possess someone.
When two independent, complete people come together in genuine love, they give to each other. They're touching each other's souls. But those who are trapped in the illusion of attachment, they are only there to take. And because they're only taking from the physical surface, the taker always walks away feeling hollow.
Section 4. Society, Marriage, and Freedom. Institutionalized traps.
So you might be wondering, if attachment is really this destructive, why is it literally everywhere? Well, we have to look at how society actually institutionalizes these traps. Society makes it incredibly hard to see the prison we live in because it just normalizes the bars of the cage. This definition from our source material is super provocative, but it's deeply insightful. Society pushes marriage as this ultimate life goal, but so often it just functions as an institutionalized legal contract of attachment. It becomes a transactional deal. Hey, I'll give you security, you give me pleasure, or children, or a home. By tying a spiritual state down into a restrictive, contractual system like that, we often accidentally kill the very freedom that is absolutely required for true love to even exist.
And, this possessiveness doesn't just stop at romantic partners. It bleeds right into how we view our families, too. We look at our kids and we say, mine. We project all of our own unfulfilled dreams onto them. But they are independent souls. They are not our property. Binding them with our heavy expectations isn't love. It's simply another form of selfish attachment.
Section 5. Meditation. The only path to breaking the chains. I know we've uncovered a lot of pretty harsh truths so far, but here's where we pivot. Because how do we actually break free? The source offers a very clear, practical method to shatter these chains. It's called becoming the witness. Here's what you do. You sit quietly each morning. You simply watch your breath flow in and flow out. When thoughts of lust or possessiveness or attachment inevitably pop up, you don't fight them. You don't try to frantically suppress them, but you also don't let yourself drown in them. You just sit back and observe them as a totally neutral witness.
I absolutely love this metaphor. It's so beautiful. Meditation is exactly like the sunrise. You don't have to grab a sword and actively fight the darkness of your attachments, right? By simply bringing the light of awareness, by observing your own mind without judgment, the illusion naturally fades away all on its own. The grip just loosens simply by you watching it.
To really picture this, the text shares the story of a sadhu, a wise ascetic, living out in the forest. An infatuated woman came to him, desperately wanting his love, and she absolutely refused to leave. Now, the sadhu didn't chase her away, but he also didn't fall into attachment. He just allowed her to stay near him for months, acting purely as a witness to the whole situation. Because he never fed the attachment, she eventually saw the illusion of her own desires, realized the truth for herself, and walked away completely free.
So, let's summarize the core message we've unpacked today. True love is a state of being that gives, frees, and brings you profound inner peace. But it can only emerge once all these attachments, to men, to women, to intimacy, to these societal constructs, are completely dropped. You literally have to empty the cup of attachment before it has any room to be filled with genuine love.
So, what does this all mean for you? Will you remain a prisoner to your attachments, or will you awaken to true freedom today? The choice is entirely yours. You now know the difference between the fire that just burns you and the light that actually sets you free. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope it brings you a lingering sense of peace and inspires you to look inward and explore the incredible power of simply witnessing your own mind.